Exposing an obvious troll post. Hello everyone, this is Mr. Obvious, bringing you the obvious. And today on the Washingtonian, what happened after my 13-year-old son joined the alternative right? A Washington family's nightmare year. Now, I'm covering this story, even though I believe it's fake, because people out there like Tim Pool covered this story as if it was real. So I want to read it, actually give you some context, and explain what I just don't believe it's real. It's hilarious. It's too insane to be a real story. My husband and I poured everything we had into nurturing an empathetic child. Then at age 13, he became infatuated with the alternative right. And I think as we read this, you're going to see exactly why I just don't believe this is real. It reads like a fan fiction, and it was submitted anonymously. That's your biggest indicator right there. When my son Sam, who was then 14, asked me to take him to the mother of all rallies on the mall in September of 2017, I said no. The pro-Trump event was billed as a demonstration to preserve traditional American culture. That's horrible. And white supremes were expected to show up in force. Not only was this not how I wanted to spend a Saturday, like almost everyone I knew, I'd been devastated by the 2016 election results, but I had serious concerns about safety. At Charlottesville. Every single time they cannot let it go. Oh my God. You know, they never, ever talk about all of the leftists who've attacked people, seriously destroyed property, rioted. They don't talk about Antifa. What about the bike lock attack? Why don't they talk about any of that? I wonder. Maybe because they're so blind, they actually believe their own propaganda. I couldn't shake off the shock of the violent murder or watching men with tiki torches shout. Really, there is nothing racist about the slogans that were said on University of Virginia. Seriously, I think the worst was, you won't replace us, right? And really, what's wrong with that? Honestly, by calling that bad, you're basically admitting that what they were saying was true. You want to replace an entire group of people. Now, if it were any other race, if it was Asians, if it was Africans, do you really think that you could say, well, I want to replace this group of people, and people wouldn't be like, oh my God, that's horrible, that's bigoted. Oh, but not when it's white people, huh? I really wonder. You really make me wonder what exactly your true intentions are. Sam knew exactly how I would react to this request. He anticipated my automatic veto and readied reasons in favor of attending. Not as a participant, he stressed, but as an observer. I can still see him standing in front of me, the longing apparent in his big brown eyes. His favorite school subject was history, he reminded me, and he hungered to witness a genuinely significant event firsthand. And he would tell me later, I wanted to be part of something big. His case was well thought out, his explanations admirable. In fact, they were too perfectly reverse engineered to match my own values. Of course, this little kid, this 13-year-old, was smarter than a full-grown woman. Isn't that amazing? He came to understand female psychology so well that he could reverse engineer his own mother. Then again, she's a leftist, so I don't think she's that smart to begin with. And that's also why I'm disappointed in Tim Pool. Honestly, the leftism is rotting his brain. I'd always preach to him the importance of seeing things for yourself before making a decision, of talking to people individually to understand what motivated them. Still, I suspected that I was being had. Gee, well, it looks like you don't practice what you preach. Typical. The crime. The problems had started when Sam was 13, barely a month into 8th grade. In taxonomy of our local public school, his close group of friends was tagged edgy and liberal. One of them came out as gay during a class presentation. Another identified as trans for a while. For a while? I can't believe... Okay, so, the insanity in that small string of words is really telling. They came out as trans for a while? What does that mean? Are you implying that they weren't trans, but they came out as one because now it's popular and being glorified by the left, by the cultural Marxists who want to decay Western society, who want to glorify genuine things, mental illnesses that people struggle with. You want to glorify it. You want it plastered all over the stages. Studies have shown that a lot of teenagers are jumping on the hype train and identifying as gay or trans, even when they aren't, just because it's popular. Do you understand how insane that is? Honk, honk. The group text chain pulsed 24/7 with observations about alternative music and the robotic conformity of other classmates. That's an NPC reference, isn't it? There's no way this story is real. Standard stuff for sensitive middle schoolers. One morning, during first period, a male friend of Sam's mentioned a meme whose suggestive name was an inside joke between the two of them. Sam laughed. A girl at the table overheard their private conversation, misconstructed it as a sexual reference, and reported it as sexual harassment. Sam's guidance counselor pulled him out of his next class and accused him of breaking the law. Before long, he was in the office of a male administrator who informed him that the exchange was illegal, hinted that the police were coming, and delivered him into the custody of the school's resource officer. I don't know what Annan did this, but excellent work. Like, this reads as if it could be real, so there's like reasonable doubt. But look, who could believe this? Who would be so dumb that they believe this is a real story? I really want to know. Sadly, I think I have the answer. So let's just break down what this woman claim happened. And I think it's a woman. She mentions her husband, right? It could be a man. I don't know. But let's break that down. A male friend of Sam's mentioned a meme whose suggestive name was an inside joke. Sam laughed. A girl at the table overheard their private conversation, thought it was a sexual reference, and reported it as sexual harassment. The guidance counselor pulled him out of the room and told him he was breaking the law and that he would go to jail because he said he was guilty of wrongthink. Words are illegal. You know, this isn't America, land of free speech. And the girl, even though she had nothing to do with the conversation, decided to do the progressive thing and try and ruin a young man's life. Yeah, that sounds like a woman, all right. Do I even need to explain why I don't believe this story's real? Oh, this is a wild ride, folks. At the administrator's instruction, the man ushered Sam into an empty room, handed him a blank sheet of paper, and instructed him to write a statement of guilt. And I want you to notice how she's accusing her own son of having gotten into the alternative right because he wanted to go to a Trump rally? Because he was becoming a Trump supporter? How insane is the average leftist if they actually believe that everyone who supports Trump is some sort of alternative right-winger? Do they really believe that? Are they that stupid? Of course, they're not that... This isn't a real story. So, I'm speaking hypothetically. No one called me as this unfolded, even though Sam cried for about 6 hours straight, as staff members parked him in vacant offices to keep him away from other students. When he stopped off the bus that afternoon, and I asked why his eyes were swollen, he informed me that he would probably be suspended, but possibly also expelled and arrested. If Kafka were a middle schooler today, this is a nightmare novel he would have written. Yeah, and if I were alive today, this entire post is a troll novel that I might have written. And no, I did not write this. I highly suspect that someone did, though. You know, a troll. You know, an actual troll. At a meeting 2 days later with my husband Sam and me, the administrators piled more accusations on top of the harassment charge, even implying, with undisguised hostility, that Sam and his friend were gay. He waved in front of us a statement from the girl at the table, insisted that Sam would need to defend himself against her claims if he wanted to prove his innocence. Oh, guilty until proven innocent. This is fiction. I know it's Washington, right? I'm pretty sure it's a leftist, it's a blue state. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's full of this kind of insanity, but come on, there's no way this is real. And if it is real, God help us, there's no saving the left. They are a lost cause. He declared that it was his primary duty as school official and as a father of daughters to believe and to protect the girls under his care. You know, that's... So, this guy, the officer, sounds like a white knight cuck. Not only that, that's kind of weird. That's I gotta say, I wouldn't be surprised if that guy was a little bit handsy with the girls, if you know what I mean. The problem started when Sam was 13 and was accused of sexual harassment during first period at school. In an out-of-body moment, I imagine that this very episode would be cited by some future cultural critic on the limits of liberalism, or perhaps we'd show up in a sociology dissertation about the collision of childhood and technology. Except coming back to reality. No. You were actually at reality. You were there. Okay, all that's correct. In the future, we're going to look back at leftism, we're going to look back at liberalism, and we're going to think, wow, that really did not work out, did it? It was really insane. Can you actually believe we lived in a time where there's people advocating for giving hormones to children and chopping body parts off and wanting to destroy Western society and replace an entire group of people, where we spread cultural Marxism and we try to take away people's rights to freedom, rights to free speech, rights to be alive, rights to be a rational person, where we tried to rig elections, where we tried to fool everyone, where we tried to lie. They will look back and they will say the left was not on the right side of history, but were the villains of their time. I realized there was nothing theoretical about this. Our son sat pale and trembling as he made his case. I wanted to reach out and hold his hand, but he was at the other end of a large conference table, a raft it seemed to me, floating unprotected in a stormy sea. The meeting didn't go well. My husband walked out after the administrator parsed a line in the county's code for student conduct in a particularly absurd way. Later from the principal, we had learned that the school staff had completed a mandatory training on spotting sexual assault, and the principal acknowledged that perhaps the stress of finishing that course had caused colleagues to overreact. So yeah, there you go. All those training programs, it's cultural Marxism. It's brainwashing. It's how they mold the left into shape. It's how they tell their little NPCs what to do. Yeah, they overreacted. Yeah, they were insane. Even if I'm supposed to take this story literally, even if I assume it's true, they overreacted absolute crazy people. Sam agreed reluctantly to write a letter of apology to the girl who reported him so that the debacle could come to an end. But no hope for resolution materialized. Instead, Sam's sweet earnestness, his teenage overconfidence, and his tremulous determination in the face of unjust authority drained away, replaced by nothing. He lost all effect. He stopped eating, sleeping, complained of headaches, and regressed in disturbing ways. He couldn't concentrate, turned in no homework, and didn't even pick up a pen when it was time to take a test. In short, he became sad and despondent, and he gave into despair. You did this to him. Your people, your ideology, your schools. But what gets me about this article is that it absolutely shows, in a very, very smart way, all of the bad parts of the left, of their insanity, of the regressive left, completely exposes them. That's also why I just don't believe that this is a work of nonfiction. No leftist would ever tell the truth or frame things in a way that makes them look bad. They don't do it. Trust me, we've seen their thought processes. I've covered the stories of these insane people. Do they talk like this? No, they don't. My husband and I felt betrayed too. We agreed that if we lost confidence in administrators in charge, withdrawing Sam was our only option. On the last day at public school, I met Sam at the bus stop. He reached for a hug in the middle of the empty street. We were both relieved this hideous chapter was closed. The metamorphosis. So, what they're going to go on to talk about is how the left broke this child, broke them in, put them into place, and made them become leftists, join their cult, because that's what cults do. But the transfer mid-year to a new school, after he'd been wrongly accused, unfairly treated, then unceremoniously dropped by his friends, shattered Sam. He felt totally alone. I counseled patience, naively unprepared for what came next, when he found people to talk to on Reddit and 4chan. Oh, curveball. Curveball. Oh, God. This is a wild ride. And it sucks because this video is getting long, and I don't know if people are even going to listen. But if you made it this far, the ride never ends. All right, let's do this. Oh, I was wrong. But no, later on, he does apparently become a leftist, so let's check this out. The online pals were happy to explain that all girls lie. They do. Especially about struggle snuggling. And they had lots more knowledge to impart. They told Sam that Islam is an inherently violent religion, and that Jewish individuals run global financial networks. We are Jewish and don't know anyone who runs anything, but I guess the evidence was convincing. This story, do you see what I mean? It gets better and better and better. If this is reality, folks, then we've gone past clown world into the clown universe. This is a new stage. They insisted that the wage gap is a fallacy. It is. It is a fallacy. That feminazis are destroying families. They are. That people need guns to protect themselves from government incursions into private property. They do. They declared that women who abort their babies should be jailed. Now, I don't agree with that one, but they should be aware that they murdered their children. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it is murder. You're canceling out what would have been a life in the future. How could that be anything different? Sorry that I can't keep your conscience clean. You know, as someone who actually cares about reality. Sam prides himself on questioning conventional wisdom and subjecting claims to intellectual scrutiny. For kids today, that means Googling stuff. Google, who's highly biased and cried when Trump won. Yeah, one might think these searches would turn up a variety of perspectives. No, just the lefts, including at least a few compelling counter-arguments. One would be wrong. The Google searches flooded his developing brain with an endless bias-confirming proof. ETFO by facts and logic. To back up whatever specious alternative right standard was being hoisted that week. Every set of result acted like fertilizer sprinkled on weeds. A forest of distortion flourished. Sam launched a campaign to sway us to his new views. In his mind, he was now an intrepid truth-teller disseminating critical information that mainstream society was invested in keeping under wraps. Yeah, he sounds red-pilled. Absolutely. Challenges to this narrative were expected. Indeed, they were built into the narrative. After befriending Nenes on Reddit and 4chan, the author's son met some of his internet heroes in real life at a 2017 rally on the mall. An interaction that day with counter-protester Bottom Right was a turning point in his trip through the alternative right. Oh, so he attended a rally with people wearing MAGA hats. Really? Does that make him so evil? Wow. Who was living upstairs in the room with bunk beds surrounded by glow-in-the-dark solar system decals? This isn't real! Glow-in-the-dark? Really? That is definitely a reference to the CIA meme. I couldn't understand how this happened. The situation was ludicrously overdetermined, as contrived as a bad move. My husband and I poured everything we had into nurturing an empathetic, observant child. Until then, it seemed to be working. Teachers and family and friends always commented on Sam's kindness, and especially his gentleness toward the underdog. Then an internet chorus of alternative right sirens sing songs of their American History X to my kid, and he turns into the evil twin of Alex B. Keaton, merciless, intolerant, and willing to extend the benefit of the doubt to anyone. Oh, come off it. Where's your doubt? Where's your empathy? Huh? The pendulum had swung, and now it was struck. Oh yeah, baby. The pendulum is coming, and when it strikes, it will shatter you. I trained myself to freeze my facial expression into something neutral, so that when I countered Sam's remarks, feminists keep divorced dads from seeing their kids. Yeah, they do. Was a favorite. It would seem as if I'd actually considered his perspective. Oh, wow, yeah, just pretend. Pretend to be on his side even though you have alternative motives to brainwash him. What a great mom. I tried to tell myself that at least he was talking to me. At least he cared about something again. He was animated and engaged. I did try to clear my own mind enough to understand some situations as he did, such as his belief that men's rights movement restored justice to the world. Sam pledged fealty to the idea of men's rights because, as he said, his former administrator had privileged girls' words and experiences over boys. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And if the mom in this story can't see that, well, what do you want me to do? Call her dumb? And that's how all of his troubles had started in the first place. I never in my life backed masculinist cause or imagined the men needed protecting. Of course you didn't, because you're a woman. How could men possibly need protecting? How could boys possibly be victims? It makes me sick that there's people out there who are so blind. Yet I couldn't help but agree with Sam's analysis. These moments where Sam and I found common ground became increasingly rare, though. Meme world. Soon Sam stopped trying to convince me to join his brave new world. Another reference! There's no way that this isn't a troll post. It's beautiful. It's this beautiful post. Even if it's real, even if it's not real. Oh, can we all just agree on that? It's amazing. He was so active on his favorite subreddit that the other group leaders, unaware that he was 13, appointed him as moderator. Along with his new online besties, this was a huge honor and a boost to his cratered self-esteem. He loved Reddit. Cringe. In his unceasing conversations about the nuances of memes, he seemed in love with the whole enterprise, as if it were an adolescent crush. Now, yeah, Reddit's cringy. It's like a normie's beginning course in memeology. But, he's 13. He's barely a teenager. I'll give him that, okay? Reddit's full of 13-year-olds. That I can believe. But as soon as Sam became a courtier among Reddit royalty, it became clear that meme world was subject to a hierarchy as rigid and Byzantine as England's class system. Wrong. Anybody can use memes. There's no hierarchy. That's the whole point. If users didn't follow the rules, they got humiliated publicly. Yeah, that sounds like Reddit. That's a Reddit thing. It's not a meme thing. The worst offenders were people who posted normie memes, pictures with uppercase slogans across the top and bottom. What is this, 2010? Memes have evolved. Ideas have evolved. My husband and I started to hear a lot more about normies, normie culture, and how normies were ruining the internet and destroying what they, meme insiders, worked so hard to achieve. No, it's true. But I'm sorry to say this, but Sam is a normie. He's waking up, he's trying to take his first red pills, but he's still got a long way to go. Sam and his fellow Redditors use language that was often violently hostile. Not only did normies have no right to dare or participate in meme world, they had no right to live, literally. Let's live in meme world, my friends. I read later in the Daily Beast that normies are agreeable mainstream members of society, and that when they try to get in on the joke is ruined forever. His mom reads the Daily Beast, one of the most biased and insane, regressive leftist sites on the internet. I'm running out of chuckles, my friends. It's just becoming too insane. It all seemed to a presumed normie such as me rather unhinged. Blah, blah, blah. They met up. They tried to confront Sam because of a vile meme on his phone. Eventually, Sam stopped moderating. They sent him an emo-gemed fidget spinner. Caller, you're on the air. My husband hoped that a digital detox would dampen Sam's passion. Oh yeah, just brainwash your kids by cutting them off from the internet, from any other outside information. But after that summer, his bromance with the alternative right heated up again. He consumed Reddit/4chan/YouTube content even more voraciously. We'd hear about someone who was a cuck, as Sam's friends understood it. A liberal man with sexual and other inadequacies. Or a SJW. Sneering tone of voice implied. Or Kek. Someone associated with Kekistan, a fake country of right-wing and libertarian citizens who battled liberals. The term was much more complicated in origin, and its definition morphed over time. No. It's simple. It's a simple meme. Kek is about Pepe and the god Keku, the Egyptian god of Keku, of primordial darkness, who created the heavens and the earth. Don't give me that, you... See, this is why you're a normie. You don't even know what these words mean. Despite occasionally declaring that I was finished forever, discussing Hillary Clinton's alleged crimes. No, actual crimes. The Second Amendment or the video of the girl screaming sexual harassment at a security guard even though he simply asked her to leave the lobby of an office building. Sam produced endless evidence via Google to validate his beliefs. He seemed excited, proud even to teach us something. After so many years of having to digest information, we fed him. Oh yeah, you're mad now because he's broken through the brainwashing and he's defeating you. My husband and I countered all of Sam's off-kilter theories with data and introduced him to people whose views might outweigh ours. We also took him to movies, signed him up for rock climbing, bribed him to play with his baby cousins, and insisted he join us at the dinner table. Oh yeah, you did what you could to brainwash your kid, and not with facts and logic. No way. So, more. Literally another reference. More. Right? That's a reference online. Mother of all rallies. The morning of the rally, Sam and I arrived at the Washington Monument around 8:30. Blah, 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 blah. An obvious leftist plant with a bad flag. You see, they do this all the time. They go to legitimate rallies, and one guy shows up who's definitely a plant. A Democrat plant, a leftist plant, an Antifa plant, and then they wave the flag. And then they get the journalist to take a picture, and all of a sudden, the whole rally's bad because one lone actor who was probably not even a real supporter went there. That's how the left operates. They're so disgusting and weak. They're all cucks. They're weaklings. They can't actually fight with the truth, so they lie. Toward the end of our walk down the mall, I spotted a middle-aged man wearing a t-shirt that proclaimed, "No Trump, no Triple K, no fascist, USA." He stood alone on the grass holding a small poster that featured of a smiling Heather. The demonstrator, how many times are you going to mention that? The demonstrator who is deceased in Charlotte. He'd magic markered the words, "A true American patriot," and C file under his photo. Above a hand-drawn heart, I asked if I could take his picture, but it was hard to choke out the words because I started crying. Those tears are delicious. I called Sam over and told him, in front of the man, that standing up for your beliefs among such a large and friendly crowd is the definition of courage. Sam seemed to understand. I could tell by the way he shook hands with the man slowly and deliberately, as if they were transferring something to one to the other. As we walked to the metro, I thanked Sam for convincing me to go to the rally so I could be reminded what real bravery looks like. Oh yeah, it takes a lot of bravery. It takes a lot of bravery to go to a rally where nobody attacks you, because when a right-winger goes to a leftist rally, they get attacked. Yeah, but it's real bravery for a leftist to go to a peaceful rally. Okay. The Awakening. Here we are, folks. We actually reached the end. And if you've come with me on this journey, I just gotta say, thank you. Because I can't handle this. I need to talk to people about this. In the months that followed, Sam very gradually began to act like the kid he had been before he was falsely accused of sexual harassment. He texted more with classmates than online strangers, and every few weekends I drove him to sleepovers with other kids. I noticed that his new group of friends said goodbye to each other, even the boys hugged. He joined a club. This was a major milestone. He watched season after season of The Office. His grades improved. He made eye contact. He joked and sang and volunteered to take out the trash before I even asked. As for me, I was shell-shocked, glad the crisis was over, but struggling to come to terms with what had transpired. Blah, blah, blah. She goes on to claim that she read the book Decease All Normies. It's a leftist propaganda book. Blah, 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 blah. White Supremes. Blah, 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 blah. And they blame the internet. They blame the internet for telling people the truth. So I'm just going to skip that. The Reckoning. One night last fall, I left a stack of these articles on Sam's bed when he wasn't around. So all of her left-wing propaganda, that is what she left on his bed. The story about how the alternative right purposely recruits depressed kids was on top. Go fuck yourself. Yeah, that's not true. I walked back to my room, propped myself up in the bed, and started catching up on emails. Before long, Sam was at my door. "Did you hate me when I was hostage to the cult?" he asked. I never heard him use that phrase before. "I don't hate you," I said after a minute. I sensed this was a test, and if I passed, something important was waiting for me. I was just baffled. "I hated myself," he admitted. "I felt trapped, and now I feel so stupid." He started sobbing, raggedly struggling to catch his breath. Why would adults want to do that? Why would they want to fool kids? How could I fall for it? See what I mean? This is a fan fiction. And the final meme is, former Trump supporter here, former writer here. Yeah, I totally believe you. I explained that he'd been a pawn in a much larger game. At age 13, suddenly friendless, he couldn't be expected to understand how he'd been manipulated or how technology made it easier for the all-nine alternative right to find him. Another leftist meme. Shut it down. But one mystery remained. I asked him point blank why he'd finally broken from the online alternative right. "I'd always had my doubts," he said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "I knew liking them was wrong, but I wanted to like them because everyone else hated them." "But did you actually like them?" I asked. "I liked them because they were adults and I thought I was an adult. I was one of them," he said. "I was participating in a conversation. They took me seriously. No one ever took me seriously. Not you, not my teachers, no one. If I expressed an opinion, you thought I was just a dumbass kid trying to find my voice. I already had my voice." Oh, God, I just feel so bad. I know this is fictional, but they crushed his soul, and they're proud of it. I had no idea he'd felt that way. I couldn't think of anything to say. "Yeah, because you're a bad mother." "All I wanted was for people to take me seriously," he repeated matter-of-factly. "They treated me like a rational human being and never laughed at me. I saw the way you and Dad looked at each other and tried not to smile when I said something. I could hear you both in your room at night laughing at me." Wow. I struggled for a moment because I wanted to tell him that wasn't true, but I couldn't deny his accusation. Behind closed doors, when my husband and I thought our children were asleep, we often vented to each other about Sam's off-the-wall proclamations and bizarre situation we found ourselves in. So I told Sam simply I was sorry for making him feel bad. "No, you're not. You're not sorry. A leftist is never sorry. Unless they're being exposed. Then all of a sudden they're sorry. Sorry they got caught." I still think about his words a lot, especially when alternative right figures headline read the news. But mostly I wonder, how could I have tried so hard to parent Sam through this crisis and yet tripped up on something as basic as not making my own kid feel small? Because you're a bad mother. Thankfully, Sam moved on. By the fall of 10th grade, he seemed at peace for the first time since he stepped off the bus almost 2 years earlier, face puffy from crying to inform me he'd broken the law. That's why my fears came roaring back when Sam and I heard on the radio one day that another Mother of All rallies was taking place on the mall that very weekend, and Sam asked if we could go together. My breath caught. He must have seen my face change. As counter-protesters? He asked, eyes gleaming. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, I love a good fanfic. Okay, so I can't believe I actually went through most of that article. It was just too much of a wild ride. Oh, man. Oh, God. I hope this vid makes the rounds because, wow. This story's insane. So do you guys see now why I think this story is not true? Do you think why I think it's a piece of fiction? It's a fanfic. The whole plot, the whole story, and I have to believe it was like an Anon, a troll who did this. I mean, it could be a leftist faking this story to spread the memes, but I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is that I really doubt this story. It's just too perfect. But that's merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. What do you think about this? There's a lot to discuss. Please, 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 let me know. Because, seriously, like, I'm giddy. Because I can't even put it into words. So much was going on here. So much. So do you think it's real? Do you think it's legitimate? What are your thoughts? Be sure to let me know. Now, if you want to support the work I do, you want to support... I can't believe I'm saying this, but actual journalism, you can do that by joining me on Patreon, Subscribestar, or donating on PayPal. As always, thanks for watching. This has been Mr. Obvious, and I'll see you all next time.